I got to, before we get into, a lot of the data that's out there, I want to just ask you, again, you're a branch manager with a lot of agents turning to you. What are people worried about most when it comes to, the way the government is behaving?
I think they're just a little nervous about loans closing. I mean, that's the biggest thing for our agents, making sure, what phase they're at, if they should be worried or whatnot. And we covered a little bit of that earlier. So, yeah. So
what is kind of going on in some of the markets around here? Because it seems that there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of segments to the real estate market. And there's kind of this low-end market where maybe you have FHA loans and people are worried about the government stuff. And then you have this high-end where it's very, very different.
Yeah, there's that high-end, no matter what, people are always going to want to be in there. And we talked about earlier some employees that are, companies are always going to thrive and people are always going to be relocating here and wanting to be in these particular parts. So this morning I just want to talk about, it's called the Waterfront Report. It's by Julie Barrows from the Mercer Island Windermere office. And what she does is she collects data on 4 different major waterfront areas in the area. So the Seattle, the East Side, Mercer Island, and Lake Sammamish. And just really good information. So I thought it'd be interesting to share with the listeners.
Yes. I mean, how are waterfront sales going? I mean, of course, we would all like to live there.
Yeah. They've been pretty consistent on those 4 areas. Lake Sammamish actually recently is experiencing the most sales, and then obviously the East Side is getting the higher sales. I was looking at the report, and there was one pending right now for $10.8 million, and one that recently closed for $8.3 million, and both of those are about an acre plus on Hunts Point, and just amazing.
That's like cheap on Hunts Point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could go buy the tip of Hunts Point, right? Which is like $24 million, I think it's sold for.
It's just amazing, the prices. It's incredible, and those houses are amazing.
They are. So then how do, say, Mercer Island and Sammamish or Lake Sammamish kind of compare? Because Hunts Point is, I believe, is like one of the wealthiest places in the world by acre.
Yeah. So Mercer Island's going to be more expensive, so it's about 15,000 waterfront footage more than Lake Sammamish is going to be. And like we spoke about earlier, Lake Sammamish is experiencing more sales. And then if you look at kind of a price per square foot, it's about 20% more expensive to own a home in the Mercer Island area. Looking price per square foot.
Lake Wash. So Lake Wash in all seems to be a little bit more desirable, would you say?
Yeah.
Anywhere in particular?
I always think anything with a point is more expensive in my mind. I mean, you've got Yarrow Bay, Holmes Point, Hunts Point, Medina. Those are the big ticket areas like you talked about earlier, just so expensive to live over there.
Are there less expensive places to get into waterfront and live that lifestyle?
Yeah, they've always said north of Kirkland or south of Bellevue is a good route to go. I've seen some amazing homes in Kennydale and Normandy Park. And
you can live right by the Seahawks Stadium, too, most important. Like, literally drive by it every day.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Just check, see kind of how they're looking for the weekend. That would really help my fantasy team out.
I could imagine. I would stop there every day on the way home. Like, we're just going to stop here for a little while. Just stare.
Well, that can be a reality.
Good.
So what's happening is the lower sales that we're seeing, both of these particular homes were about 35 feet of waterfront footage. One was up in Kenmore, and the other one was down in the Newcastle area, and both of those closed under $1.3 million.
On Lake Washington?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you start looking at all these, I mean, are they getting action? Are these listed at the same price? Are they... How's the action on some of these, the negotiation going? Well,
yeah, you would think that there wouldn't be a lot of homes on the market right now with kind of the weather turning, but there's 121 active listings. And in terms of, trying to put a low ball offer on these $1 million homes, looking at the East Side homes, the average price is about $4 million. So I took the list price versus sold price, and it was about 93%. So basically, if there's a $4 million home out there, you can put an offer in at 3.7 or so, and hopefully put it together.
No kidding. So is this different than maybe years past? I mean, when you start looking at this real luxury market, and of course everything kind of took a dip 5-6 years ago, and how has it recovered, and is it different than even last year?
Well, Seattle and the East Side, their levels of inventory have pretty much remained the same. And then Mercer Island's dipped in about half of their inventory over the last 12 months, and then Sammamish is down 20% or so.
So ultimately, inventory is down?
It's down, yeah. Ultimately, it's down. But Seattle and the east side have kind of held steady with their waterfront.
And then what about prices?
Prices have dipped down. Let's see. On the east side, waterfront per foot is increased 25%, and the price per square foot of these homes have jumped up 15%. But if you go and take a look at Seattle waterfront, the prices are up waterfront per foot about 11%, but price per square foot of the home is down 9%.
What does that all mean?
Well, that's a great question. So I think the big takeaway from this and the values of these homes are basically if you are in a good area, like we've talked about, the east side waterfront's the most desirable, and you have a lot of waterfront footage. So actually walking around on the water and looking at your feet of waterfront, 35 is common. You see a lot of the skinny, narrow lots. But if you get these really wide 120 foot, that's when you're seeing the huge money listings there.
And as you start to look at that, people are really, is it investment or lifestyle that they're buying?
Definitely lifestyle, in my opinion. There's going to be people out there that are going to have a vacation home that's, 10, 15 million, but a majority of these people are getting close to retiring, or they're high-tech, well-paid people that want to be there, and they want to be around the good schools too. And I think that's why the Mercer Island, the east side, does so well. A
lot of it does have to do with school districts, I would imagine. There's a lot of private money that goes in to the schools from those areas.
Yeah, and
have you driven by Medina Elementary? It looks like a small college.
Yeah, it looks like a community college.
It does. Community college looks like a university.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It is. The money that goes into those from those areas. Anything else? Anything else you see really on the waterfront side that people should be aware of if they are interested in that type of market?
Well, kind of down in the Lake Tapps market, we're seeing prices go up even more. They were really hit hard 3 years ago, and then last year, and probably up 15-20%. Homes that were on the market for $500 are now next door neighbors' homes selling for $625, $650. So it's people want to be by water, and we're seeing that a lot now.
Yeah, especially if the whole world shuts down, you're definitely going to want a source of drinking water if the government can't get everything together.
And Ben ties it in. I like it.
Well, hey, I live on a creek, and I always just figured that if something were to happen, I'm going to go get some seeds. I'm just going to start planting. I won't know how to actually grow them. I'll start irrigating some water towards my seeds, and somehow I would assume I may end up with some tomatoes.
Yeah, people will flock towards you.
Yeah, I'll have something to barter when the dollar completely collapses. I'll be selling tomatoes and blackberries.